What is going on, everyone? So in today's guide, we will be going over how to breed your animals. Not only will we be going over how to breed your animals, we'll also be going over what kind of traits you should be breeding and what kind of traits are breedable. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so before you start breeding, there are 3 things that you must have as a requirement to start breeding. The first one is your animals must be at least tameness level 80. Okay, they have to be at least between 80% to 100% tameness. Anything lower than that, and you cannot breed them. Okay, so all my wolves right here are tameness level 100, and this wolf up here is 79. So this one would not work. So that is the first requirement you need to have. All right, the second requirement that you must have to breed is you need a breeding hut. Okay, they are called the youngling huts. And if you open up your building thing right here, you have to make one of these inside your territory in order to breed. Your animals cannot breed otherwise, right? And all the babies that you make will go inside here, all right? And you can find this little breeding hut if you go inside to my next page. You go over here and you scroll down, you will see the breeding animal section. You need to unlock this to be able to place the breeding hut. This is the second requirement needed to start breeding. And the third requirement needed to start breeding, and I can't believe I'm saying this one, is you need a male and a female of the same animal. No, you cannot breed a wolf and a bear. I know, it's disappointing. No, you cannot breed 2 males together. I'm sorry. You need a male and a female, and they need to be the same exact animal. All right, so once you got everything situated and you are ready to breed, you're going to go over to your animals after all the requirements are met, and you're going to go to your male and female, whichever animal you have. You are going to look at this little toggle right here, and you're going to press Allow Breeding. This is going to allow your animals to breed. All right, and this one's already toggled on for the male. So for the female, I'm going to go over here and toggle this one on, and now they should breed. And as you saw right there by the breeding times, they went down. So that means they just had a baby. All right, so now once they have that baby, you're going to exit out and you're going to go over to the breeding hut where the baby should be. So when I open this up right here, you will see the bear cub. And the bear cub actually has really, really good traits, which we're going to go over that in just a second. But that covers all the basics of how to breed, right? That is very short and simple. I just wanted to make that so if you do not know how to breed, that is the basis of how to breed. And we're about to get into the actual fun stuff, which is the traits of the animals that you should be breeding. All right, so now we got the basics down of how to breed. We can get into the fun section of traits. Now, traits can get very, very complicated very fast. So before we get into what kind of traits you should be going for, you have to understand how the traits get passed down first. All right, so the basics of how the traits work, okay? We're going to use this bear cub for example. All right, so this bear cub right here has behemoth, ferocity, thick hides, and dieting, right? So if you go over here and you click on the parents, you can see what the parents had. And in this case, I wasn't trying to target anything, so the bear cub ended up with random traits from both the dad and the mom. So he only ended up with 1 trait from the mom, which was the behemoth, and the other 3 traits were from the father. So in this case, when both the father and the mother have different traits, the offspring will have a mixture of those traits. So in this next example, I'm going to show you an example of a targeted trait beast. So in this example, this leopard has Thunderlord, Tough Heritage, Hit and Run, and Blitz 3. If you go look at the parents, they have the same exact traits, both the father and the mother. So that guarantees that my offspring will have the same exact traits. Now, these specific traits right here take multiple rounds of breeding. This is eventually what you do want to end up with, but this was just an example of targeted traits on a certain beast. All right, so now getting into the next section, the fusible traits. And I've had a lot of questions about these specifically. All right, for this example, we are going to use my bear with the behemoth fusible trait. So what is a fusible trait? So fusible trait, during breeding, if the parent animals possess electrical traits, the offspring may inherit fused traits. So what this is stating, for my example for this bear, behemoth 1 plus mutant equals behemoth 2. That means I have to breed this bear with a mutant bear to get the behemoth 2 on the offspring. So that means in order to upgrade behemoth 1 to behemoth 2, he has to mate with a mutant trait bear. And this applies for all of the fusible traits. You have to breed them with a mutant animal of the same kind. So it's the same exact thing we were talking about with breeding. The only difference is this is getting more into the targeted breeding. And these fusible traits are basically the end game of the Beastmaster, because your whole objective in the end is to keep breeding your animals with these fusible traits to upgrade them further and further until eventually you get animals that have maxed out fusible traits that can no longer be fused. Alright, so now there are some traits that animals can have that other animals cannot have. The wolf, for example, has Alpha Wolf and Precision Battle Cry. These are specific only to the wolf. No other animal can get those traits. Alright, now the bear as well. So the bear can get something like Sound of Peace, which the bear can have. However, the wolf, the leopard, they cannot have this trait. This lets the bear draw aggro. This is a very nice trait, but it is only specific for certain animals. The wolves and the leopards not being one. Now if we go over here to a bear cub, all of these traits on this bear cub are usable by any other animal. So you can get all of these on any animal as well. So everything I'm showing you right now is passable. Things I just listed were not passable. I will be making a separate guide though, however, on what traits are for which animals and which traits are the best ones for each specific animal. I unfortunately can't do that in this video because otherwise this video would be like 20 minutes long. But I do have that planned as well. So, in the last section, I will be telling you some of the traits that you should be getting on some of the animals. Now, this won't be all of them. There's only a couple animals and a couple traits. However, I'll be making a full guide on that. So, for the wolves, and the wolves, in my opinion, are arguably the highest DPS beast in the game for one specific reason. They have the Alpha Wolf trait. The Alpha Wolf trait is absolutely ridiculous. And with 3 wolves, you are looking at an insane amount of damage. Okay. On top of that, they can also give you weak spot damage. But the Alpha Wolf trait by itself is really, really strong. All right. Again, the leopards, which are the second highest DPS beast, if not the first, they have some really interesting perks, such as Blitz and Hit and Run. Blitz by itself is insane and is such a high damage attack. Okay. If you get Blitz on one of your leopards, breed it. Okay. They can get the same traits as the wolves can. However, leopards can get weapon damage increase on them as well. So those are just 2 of my favorite beasts in the game and some of the traits that I really, really like and that if you ever get, you should 100% keep. Now, I will be making a full guide for that as well as a couple more guides for Beastmaster. So I really do hope that you guys learned something from this, and I really do hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see y'all in the next one.